Hello everyone and welcome to another one of our videos of the Vuelta a Burgos 2025, and this was the final stage, a very interesting stage. In total 138 kilometers, but the interesting point was the last two climbs that was surely going to test the riders. But we joined the race with 34 kilometers to go, and the breakaway had a lead of 1 minute and 42 seconds. It was a very strong break, including Carlos Garcia wearing the Mountains jersey, and it looked like he was gonna maybe seal that, and he was also joined by a few other riders. But the peloton was fairly comfortable at this, and with 28 kilometers to go, the most interesting part was one of the Uno X riders having a mechanical. But nonetheless, the breakaway riders, they had a lead of 2 minutes and 30, so they had extended it a bit, and it looked like the peloton were not too convinced they were going to go all the way. UAE Emirates not too convinced about it, so they made sure to get to the front to help out AG2R, who were the leading team. And in the breakaway, we saw that Uadio, the Portuguese Bahrain rider, was struggling a bit on the descent as well. But with 25 kilometers to go, it looked like they were probably going to be making it to that final climb. The peloton was starting to ramp it up a bit on the penultimate climb of the day, and plenty of the domestique riders were going out the back, and we could see that it was AG2R at the front, but UAE Emirates not too happy with the pace, so they started to congregate at the front and take over. Red Bull even started to launch a move as well, and it looked like it was an incentive for the guys to just increase the pace, as it was still 2 minutes and 3 seconds, and this climb was very hard at 9.7% average gradient. But the peloton still in a comfortable position with that final climb beckoning. The day was really hot, and we could see the Euskaltel rider getting a bit of ice from his team car, and Carlos Garcia was starting to struggle towards the back with 1.3 kilometers of the penultimate climb. UAE Emirates still just hinting that they were gonna do something today and helping AG2R with the pacemaking. It was still 1 minute and 38 seconds, so they had taken a chunk out of the breakaway that was struggling a bit at the front, and even at the back of the peloton, riders who were starting to struggle on this climb. The breakaway on the descent came down to Euskaltel rider and Carlos Garcia, who had got rid of the other riders, but the peloton had got the lead down to 50 seconds, and this was a bit of a troubling point for the breakaway riders. We could also see from a replay that a few riders had actually taken a tumble on the descent, so that was quite worrying. A Kern Farmer rider and a Burgos BH rider. But at the front of the race, they still had 49 seconds with 19.8 kilometers left, and 6 of those was that final big test. Carlos Garcia was pushing as much as he could to follow the Euskaltel rider, but he did come a bit of a cropper as he went into the gutter, the small gutter at the side, and just doing his best cyclocross impersonation and getting back on the tarmac. At the back of the peloton, we saw a sight that we weren't expecting: Isaac Del Toro towards the back end and losing distance to the peloton. What was wrong? Was he losing? Was he tired? Was he injured? What was going on? And soon we got our answer that it was in fact a puncture. The cameraman doing a very good job at spotting that, and having a puncture on the descent was not really the opportune moment. And before long, we got the hand from Isaac Del Toro and the confirmation why he was dropping back a bit. The UAE Team Emirates car were quick to pounce on it and get him back on the road again, but he had lost about 30 seconds, so he had a bit of a chase back to do, the Mexican, and this was going to be a bit of an annoyance to him. Meanwhile, in the peloton group, AG2R was still pushing on and doing a good job. Was this taking advantage of Isaac Del Toro's misfortune? I don't know, but they were doing a pretty good job just to keep the pace up. Del Toro was sweeping up riders that had been dropped on the climb, and he was making inroads. 26 seconds with no real team support either in terms of riders dropping back or his team car giving a bit of draft either. Little Trek as well, very opportune moment for them, assisting AG2R, and they were really doing some damage here to Isaac Del Toro, who was doing a chase back. Bit unsporting, I don't know, not the leader's jersey. And before long, we did get the confirmation that Del Toro had made it back with just over 10 kilometers left of the stage. So a good fight back by him. And I'm sure he was a bit annoyed about the team who did those strategies and his own team for not dropping back. At the front, we could still see Carlos Garcia With Ualio, they were the riders who rose to the top of the day's breakaway. And with 8.5 kilometers to go, it was still Little Trek and AG2R doing a good job at the front, keeping the pace high, and they gotten it down to 20 seconds. AG2R were very motivated to keep the pressure high, as Leo Bizio did very well on stage 1. And we could see the breakaways lead was absolutely disappearing. 18 seconds, 6 kilometers to go. AG2R doing a good job. And then at the front, we could see Ualio getting rid of Carlos Garcia. And now there was only one rider out in front, and that was the Portuguese rider. But Carlos Garcia out the back, and now it was only the Bahrain rider. It was still Little Trek and AG2R doing a very good job at keeping the pressure on, and they were really motivated for this, for the stage and the victory. But then we had Esteban Chavez hitting out. Remember the name? It's been a while since we've seen him. He was trying to do something here and see if he could just put some pressure on as well. 4.4 kilometers to go, and still there was 20 seconds up to Alfonso Ualio. So that was a really good effort. He was doing everything he could, and Chavez was trying to bridge up to the Portuguese rider if he could. But Chavez was soon brought back by Little Trek, who were very motivated to get this down for a Giulio Ciccone stage win. 16 seconds, 17 seconds. But Chavez's attack was a bit for nothing, unfortunately. And Little Trek well in control of this. And Ualio, his time was still fairly stagnant. He wasn't really hemorrhaging time too much, and even increased his advantage to 20 seconds. And you can see just how steep it is there, going up to 12% in some points on this climb. But then came a shock, and that was that Giulio Pilesari, the man who was sitting in second place, was starting to struggle, and the young Red Bull rider really going out the back, and that was a bit of a worry with 3 kilometers still to go. Ualio was just getting pulled back by a Cepeda of Movistar, who had launched a bit of attack or a counter attack, and behind we could see Isaac Del Toro lifting the pace from behind, pulling back everyone. He did this on stage 3 as well, but here Isaac Del Toro clawing everyone back, pulling this gap back as much as possible. And 3 kilometers left of this climb, and now Del Toro was starting to make real moves here. And before long, he had joined Cepeda with Ualio, who unfortunately did see the strong climbers right next to him, unfortunately. So his day was over in terms of staying at the front. Ciccone on Del Toro's wheel, and these guys were really going to make a dent into the rest of them. Before long, it was Del Toro and Ciccone alone. And we got a reminder that Ciccone is nowhere in GC because of that crash Del Toro did on stage 1 and didn't actually receive the same time, unfortunately. We could also see Leo Bizio was really struggling as well. He was trying to do everything, scrambling to hang on to that lead and win the Vuelta a Burgos, but it looked like a fleeting expedition, as at the front, Del Toro was supercharged to try and keep this up, really ramming the gap. And Mikel Landa was another casualty of this pace, struggling going at the back. Del Toro giving Ciccone and the rest a look a bit there and doing a good job just to keep the momentum on, but with 2.1 kilometers, but with 2.2 kilometers, we could see the damage done to the chasing group. Del Toro and Ciccone really starting to up it, and now he really gave him the look. But behind it was Lorenzo Fortunato with Egan Bernal on his wheel, trying desperately to get something back here. And then we got a shot of the Leo Bizio group, 27 seconds down, and the pace not fast enough that even riders were starting to attack the leader as well. Del Toro was doing everything to really drive this advantage home, and Bizio was just absolutely disintegrating on this climb, with still over 1.7 kilometers to go for the Frenchman, unfortunately. But at the front, we could see the cadence and the pressure being put on by Isaac Del Toro was phenomenal, but Ciccone still sitting behind like a ticking time bomb for Del Toro maybe. And before long, we could see at the back, Fortunato was very motivated to try and maybe snatch a podium if he could, but 1.2 kilometers left, and it was still looking pretty good for Pellizzari as he was trying to claw himself back with the help of a teammate, and it was not all over for the young Italian. Del Toro and Ciccone were the first to cross the 1 kilometer to go banner, and this was looking very good for Del Toro as he was leading in the virtual classification by 9 seconds down to Leo Bizio, and really just upping the pressure as much as possible. But behind, we could see Fortunato, knowing that he could maybe be claiming a third place, was starting to up the pressure. And then from one Italian to another, Giulio Ciccone attacked hard Del Toro with 800 meters to go, and Del Toro didn't really have anything to respond. We thought maybe he was just riding his own tempo and would be dragging back the Italian like we saw earlier, but this looked like Ciccone was gonna get away, and we could see from the slow-mo he absolutely attacked hard, and when it mattered. Del Toro could see Ciccone frustratingly, and the Italian even looking back a few times at the Mexican, but Del Toro looked like his win was not going to happen, the stage win at least, but he was still riding as there was the stage race up for grabs, and you can see the pain, the suffering, the gradient was biting hard. Ciccone at the front with that nose clip was doing a very good job pulling faces all over the place, but he had a big advantage here down to Del Toro, and this was looking like he was going to salvage something, taking the stage win. What a win for him. And the important part for the GC was, of course, where was Del Toro? Del Toro was the man that we were looking for. He stopped the clock around 9 seconds. And then there was a bit of a wait because the GC was on the line. Fortunato was third and a few other riders came, but we still didn't have Leo Bizio. Leo Bizio came through. Then finally, we were thinking it was going to be him, but there were plenty of riders who had come past, and the young Frenchman came there. But in terms of that stage win, it was Ciccone winning ahead of Del Toro, but that's not the important part. The important part is the GC, and the GC meant that Del Toro wins the Vuelta a Burgos 2025 with Lorenzo Fortunato jumping up into second place overall, Leo Bizio falling down to third place, still getting a podium. Pellizzari falls down to fourth place, and Ciccone moved himself up into fifth place, so a good salvage by him. Egan Bernal sixth, Torsten Train seventh, Giovanni Aliotti in eighth, ninth for Johannes Kulset, and Jurko Berade in 10th place in the GC. But anyways, with that, that's basically it for this Vuelta a Burgos 2025. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment down below what you thought of the race. And thanks to the organizers again of the Vuelta a Burgos, and why not check out stage 1 or stage 3, or even check out the video I did on Isaac Del Toro. But what a win. And with that, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.